Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Gemba360 Back to Basics session. My name is Nihal Samara. I'm the General Counsel and Legal Director here at Kaizen Synergy Law Firm, and I would like to welcome you all to today's session. Today's session focuses on the compliance calendar within your Gemba360 dashboard. Now, the compliance calendar, we're going to do this in actually two parts over this week and next week. But the compliance calendar can actually be linked to, first of all, the Gemba docs for things like your contracts, policies, and other documents, but also it can be used, which I'm going to show you today, for your general compliance obligations. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when we normally, if I open up the compliance calendar, what this will actually show me is all the different activities and work modules that I actually need to complete from week to week, day to day, month to month sort of thing. Now, essentially, I can see that I've got one item here. So agencies generally at the start of each month will actually simply go to their calendar, will bring up the details view and simply click on print. Now I'm going to do this from scratch and show you how this works. So here it is here. So I can print on click, and this is just a test agency that we have, and I can bring this up. Now, generally what I'll then do is actually print this up, and it'll take this to the management meeting that I have at the start of each month. And the reason that I do that, quite simply, is that the compliance calendar brings together your working with children checks, police checks, your contracts, which includes things like funding agreements, submissions to regulators like ACNC or ATO or funding agreements, all the stuff that I'm going to say that you need to report on from month to month, and you want to just make sure it gets done, is all appears in the compliance calendar. Now, also what I will add is your agency can actually use this for other things. Now, what I mean by other things? Well, let's say I've actually, and I'll just close this down, I'll start again. So let's say I had an audit that I needed to put in. Now, this could be not just let's say a client file audit. So if there was an audit that I needed to do, and I needed to make sure that this actually gets done. So I can actually open up my calendar and click on add a new calendar entry. So you yourselves can actually use this for all your audit schedules that need to happen. Now, the first one is under area. So let's say I've divided this up into specific, what I'll call quality stored sections. So let's say let me pick something simple. Let me pick something like a fridge audit that I want to make sure actually gets done once a month. So I'm going to select physical resources, okay? I'm going to go agency. In this case, this is my ABCD group, ABCD Community Centre. Now, the compliance document is fridge audit record. Okay, that's all it is. And the requirement is check the fridge temperature and record it in here. And I'll just put below, okay? Make sure I spell below correctly. Okay, here we are here. Outcome is safety compliance of fridge for vaccines are checked. Okay, something really simple. Now, I want this to be done, actually I want it to be done tomorrow, and really I want it to be completed before the end of Friday the 16th. From here, I can then select who it actually goes to, okay? In this case, I'll just send it to myself to show you how this works, but I can select another staff member from here and simply click on save, okay? Now, what it does show me on this and where it appears is that it appears on the 16th. Now, what you'll see on your own calendar is that the compliance calendar is all traffic light coded. And it's divided into green, orange, and red. Green means that it's, when I open this up, just to show you how this works, green means that it's before the review date. If the current day's date is between the review and due date, it'll go orange. And if it's on or after the due date, it'll go red. Now, the way the compliance calendar works is that on the review date, it'll send an email notification to this person here. And a week before the due date, it'll send an escalated message to this person here. Now, in this case, it's just both of myself that I've put in. Now, you might ask, why does it send an email notification a week before the due date? The simple reason is this. You don't want to find a task that's due on the day. And we want to limit those as much as possible, unless it's like which we'll come to in the next few weeks, incident form where it's high and all this sort of stuff. So that is something that needs to be done right away. So what we want to give you is the ability to say, okay, something's due in a week's time, but I've got a few days to check it. Okay, so that's why the secondary reminder coming out of here is on the week before the due date itself. Okay, now what happens when I get the email? When I get the email for the fridge audit, what I can simply go into is this part here and say fridge audit record is complete and temperature recorded is, let's say, I'm going to mark it as 10 degrees. Okay, let's say that was what my fridge needed to be. It might be different for yours. So with it, I'm simply going to mark it as that. Okay. Now, once that's done, I can then mark it as completed. Okay, and what it'll do is lock the color up to say it's been done. Okay, and essentially that's as simple as it needs to be. Now, I'm just going to cancel that for now. But essentially, once it's marked as completed, it locks it up, and that's how it's action. Now, the other part that I will mention is if you wanted to, under your own calendars, you might have seen that there's this repeat down the bottom, beg your pardon. So if this fridge audit needed to be done every month, let's say for the next 12 months or the likes, well, then you can actually mark it as being done monthly. And let's say and when would you want to do this by? Now, what I usually do is to have it set for when my next quality audit actually is. So I normally would do it at least 3 years anyway. So if I wanted to, and let's say I want to go down, let's say I want to have my audit, and my audit is in March 2025, then what I generally do is simply mark it in as this and click on save. So this way, we're overlapping with your quality standards of what's there. And idea is that all of your audits, you review those as part of your 3-year cycle, because that way you know exactly what needs to happen and when. Now, once you've done that, I'm going to say it's set it up and forget about it. Because what Gemba will do is actually go back and send you out the reminders of when things are due and when. Now, one of the questions, no doubt, that you'll ask is, what happens if Fred moves on? How does that change anything? So quite simply, and I'll just cover this off here, if Fred moves on, then essentially all that you need to do is go back into the user management, and I'm going to bring this up here, and you can simply change Fred's name. So let's say Barney takes over. Okay, so Barney Rubel takes over. Then essentially what we've then got is Barney's now, we've just changed the user details to Barney, and automatically all of Fred's previous calendar and activities essentially gets updated to Barney. So you can see it becomes really, really simple actually as things change within your agency. Your compliance obligations essentially gets managed directly out of Gemba as well. Next week, I will be showing you how the Gemba Docs part of the system links to the compliance calendar, and that includes things like all your policies, that includes things like all your contracts and all the parts of the contracts, and any HR contracts that you might have as well too. If you do have any questions in the meantime, then by all means, please reach out to us at our support desk. Once you're on Gemba, simply click on this button here. It'll bring up your support desk and you can start chatting immediately. That's what it's there for. We encourage you to do that. Or if you did have any questions directly and you want to speak to us, then by all means, please call us on 1300 360 360. We look forward to supporting you in due course. Thank you for your time. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.